Number 10. Hestilin lights. While there are countless reports around the world of floating lights flying through the sky, some say they're UFOs, some say will-o'-the-wisps, others still think that they're just tricks of the light being picked up on camera. But the Hestilin lights are different. First reported in the 1930s, these floating orbs appear high in the sky over the Hestilin Valley in central Norway, and can be of varying sizes and colors. They shift and move throughout the evening and have been documented to appear about 10 to 20 times every year. Though strangely in the 80s they were reported 15 to 20 times per week. In 1983, a group of students and engineers were tasked with researching and documenting the lights to see what they could learn. And in 1998, a research station called the Hestilin Automatic Measurement Station was built to analyze the phenomenon, and they tracked the lights moving at speeds of up to an astonishing 30,000 miles an hour. There are many videos and photos of the lights, but in 2007 a particularly notable video was filmed with one light splitting into many, rejoining and then spreading out into a straight line. The scientists tasked with measuring the data from the site say more research needs to be done, as there's still no real explanation, as they've run through all of the possible reasons for their existence and ruled them out. You can head there at any time of the year to see if you can catch them on tape yourself. Number 9. Glowing apparition. Before we get to this one, guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so that I can keep bringing you the most amazing videos. A Reddit user uploaded this video to the Unexplained videos subreddit, saying that he recorded it the very first night he put out his new security camera. It shows an oblong shape glowing and floating across his yard, all the way through the camera's vision, and it seems strangely spectral the way it moves. Users debate in the comments about what it could be. Some think it's an insect or a caterpillar called a cankerworm, which produces silk and it's blowing in the wind, and the infrared light of the camera bounces off the silk in a funny way. But I don't think that explains the way that it moves so smoothly across the yard. Others think that it's a ghostly apparition that he was lucky to catch on tape, but we'll never truly know. Number 8. Moon music. Okay, so this next one is an audio recording and not caught on camera, but I still think that it was weird enough to make it onto this list. Tapes and transcripts were declassified in 2016 of the Apollo 10 mission in 1969, where the astronauts on board report hearing strange music. And though they were traveling behind the dark side of the moon, what they heard wasn't Pink Floyd, but what they described as outer space type music. The creepiest part of all of this is that since they were traveling behind the moon, they had no radio contact with NASA or anything else. They were totally removed from the world. So where did this music come from? Is it aliens having an interstellar jam session, or a broadcast from the moon, or was it just radio interference from some other satellite or spacecraft? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 7. Russian Beast. In this widely circulated video, 2 Russian soldiers can be seen on guard duty outside of some sort of base. Suddenly, one of the soldiers falls to the ground and seems to be dragged away by some sort of creature that we can't make out in the footage. His partner tries to help, but to no avail. He then runs inside to find more people to assist, but comes back alone, and his partner is gone. Shortly after, we see a strange figure in a black cloak or jacket exiting the doorway of the base. And to this day, none of these events have been explained, and we don't know if the soldiers survived or were taken by the mysterious beast. Number 6. Back Deck Duende. On an evening in fall, an unsuspecting couple caught something troubling on their motion sensor doorbell cam. In this video, we can see something small running across their back porch. The strange shape of the creature doesn't look like any animal I can recognize, and at times it almost appears translucent. The fact that it seems to be pacing back and forth is somewhat concerning too. You know, what is it waiting for? Some users in the comments think that it may be a duende, a creature from Iberian folklore akin to a gnome, but these little guys aren't always friendly. Some versions of their lore say that they lure young people into the night to steal them away, so this would be quite the scary sight to be sitting right outside your house. However, some others in the comments joke that it might be one of the small soldiers coming back to take revenge, and if you remember that movie, it's about as plausible as anything else. Number 5. Poltergeist or plant. This video starts with a girl getting ready to perform a dance routine, but they captured something even more amazing than whatever dance moves she was going to bust out. As the camera operator moves to get a better view, a dark figure can be seen dashing across the frame right in front of the girl. Its strange shape drew a lot of attention online, and sparked debate, leading some to say that the figure is a stationary plant that was in the shot when the person filming panned the camera too fast. But the movement of the shadow doesn't seem to line up with that camera movement, so I'm still not sure what's going on here. Number 4. Antarctic Ninjin. The first sightings of one of these bipedal creatures was in 2002 when members of a whale research ship saw it coming to the surface of the sub-Antarctic Ocean. However, when they got too close, it returned to the sea. More sightings have happened since, and photos show a strange white two-legged animal with no arms. The name Ninjin actually means human being in Japanese, but this thing doesn't look like any human I've ever seen. Other video evidence has surfaced of a Ninjin lying on the sea floor, but some people think that that was just a type of snake eel. And people have tried to dismiss the sighting on the ice as a conveniently shaped iceberg, which would make sense, but the odds of an iceberg looking just like a creature from folklore are pretty low. Number 3. Hotel room haunting. When these two tourists checked in to the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas, they didn't expect to find an extra guest staying in their room. As they took a video of their room for an Instagram story, the strange shadow appeared on the wall, followed by something running across the room silently. They didn't notice until they watched the footage back, so it seems that it only appears on camera. I've paused this video over and over, and it looks like a small person in white clothes, but the hotel staff swears that no one else checked in with them or was up in the room at that time. The fact that the guests didn't see it until after filming is one of the most interesting parts of this though. Number 2. Lights out. The person who caught this very creepy happening on camera is a TikTok personality who usually posts comedic or music videos, but this video he posted is far from his normal content. The video shows Aiden standing outside of his bedroom, telling the viewers that he just saw something terrifying. When he points the camera at his open bedroom door and turns off the lights, a shadowy figure appears out of nowhere, only to disappear again when the lights come back on. He does this multiple times, and even from another angle, where the creature seems to get closer, at which point he gets away from there as quick as he can. Smart move. Though for my own sanity, I'd love to believe that this was staged. There doesn't seem to be any camera cuts, and frankly, he's not a good enough actor to pull off the genuinely terrified reaction, though it does seem very similar to the YouTube video turned movie Lights Out. And finally, we reach our number 1 most unexplained phenomena caught on camera, the NASA alien sightings. Most UFO sightings can be dismissed as a civilian not recognizing a military aircraft or a weather balloon, but these ones are different. In 2021, NASA declassified multiple videos filmed by US Navy and commercial pilots showing objects that can't be explained by our current understanding of physics or aviation. The objects appear to hang in the air, insanely stable, and then move at incredible speeds, even disappearing off the radar and into the ocean. One of the pilots is heard exclaiming, "There's a whole fleet of them, look!" which is pretty troubling when they don't know what the aircraft is, or whose it is. The US and other governments have stated that the aircraft do not belong to them, though some of the appearances have been above US military bases, so maybe it's a form of experimental aircraft? But the current administration has expressed concern, stating that the UFOs are of extremely advanced technology and that as far as they're aware, no country is even close to achieving. Though if it was an experimental aircraft, do you think they'd tell us? Since a few of these sightings show them flying down into the ocean, but no crash, debris, or evidence is found of them being there, that may imply that this aircraft can also function underwater, and possibly has even been existing there for a long time. I personally believe that aliens are out there somewhere. You know, with the vastness of the known universe and the possibility of more universes being out there, I think it's naive to assume that we're the only intelligent life that exists. Though I had always thought aliens wouldn't find us interesting enough to visit, the fact that these videos have NASA, the Pentagon, and so many other scientists baffled is pretty convincing.
Starting us off at number 10 is the Floating City. On October 7th, 2015, in the city of Foshan, China, a rare mirage occurred in which a city seemed to be floating in the sky. This was literally seen by thousands of people. It wasn't just a trick of the light or someone lying about it. The footage literally looks like a city. You can see the blocks of the buildings and it looks like a skyline. The whole incident only lasted a few minutes before disappearing, but it did end up on the Chinese news. Some people believe it was due to a government project that only the elite know about and therefore it was just dismissed as some kind of reflection of some kind, whereas other people believe it's actually Fata Morgana, which basically just means a very superior form of a mirage. Don't know why they have to give it a fancy name. Either way, I don't think a whole city can somehow become a mirage for a few minutes, but I'm also no scientist, so the wildest explanation I read was that it was part of the Blue Beam project, which is a secret project developed by the US, and the point of it is to manipulate the weather and create artificial natural disasters. I don't know why they would want to fake create that. And the mirage they saw was them testing it out to see how the public would react to it. Don't know why they did it in China though, I doubt they did, but there's that too. Coming in at number 9 is the Death Cloud. Back in 2017, residents of Teixeira de Freitas in Brazil saw a menacing sight in the clouds. They dubbed it the Apocalyptic Cloud or the Death Cloud, and the videos literally looks like a red claw has emerged from hell and is reaching into the sky. And the whole thing was red and it looked like it was a shadow of a meteor that was just about to hit Earth but then stopped a bit before it did. It dissipated into nothing within 5 minutes, but residents were truly terrified. Someone thought the world was ending, another thought it was going to form a tornado, whereas some people saw it as the work of God and called it perfection. It really is a mixed bag of reactions really. Perfection on one hand, death cloud on the other, whatever you want really. At number 8 we have the Black Ring. Back in 2015 in Kazakhstan, a video was uploaded by someone living in the village of Shortandi, I don't know, the pronunciation wasn't on Google, don't come for me. They captured what appeared to be a giant black smoke ring in the sky that floated there for 15 minutes and then disappeared as smoke usually tends to do. Now this sort of sight has been seen thrice before, once in Leamington but that was due to a fireworks test, another time in Florida but that was due to a pyrotechnic test, and another one in Chicago due to an electrical transformer blowing up. Nice. Either way, after investigation, nothing seemed to have happened to have caused the ring. No fire-related activity, no blown-up transformer, nothing. People were speculating whether it was the work of witchcraft or perhaps the portal to hell. Filling our number 7 slot is the Phoenix Light. Back in 2017, a Phoenix City camera as well as thousands of other cameras owned by normal people caught sight of something incredible. The whitish bluish fireball can be seen appearing out of nowhere in the sky and hurtling towards Earth as it gets bigger and brighter and then disappears altogether like it was never even there. Now most people speculated it was a meteor, but many remained unconvinced and looked towards the extraterrestrial as a possible explanation. What do you guys think? Now at number 6 is the Face Cloud. This one happened in 2011 in a place called Grand Falls, which is in New Brunswick, Canada. Dennis LaForge was watering his plants when he looked at the sky and took out his iPhone. The clouds in the video are moving extremely quickly, well quicker than the average cloud would move, and the cloud formation then starts forming a giant face. I kid you not, a giant face. The face gets more detailed as it moves forward, and it almost seems like the face is the thing propelling the cloud forward. The space for eye sockets is visible, a nose, lips, a chin, it's so detailed it's not even funny. People dubbed it the face of God gliding across the sky. The only explanation George Isaac had, who is a senior cloud scientist, was that clouds come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Thank you George for that insightful commentary, even I could have said that and I'm not a senior cloud scientist. Coming in at number 5 is the UFO cloud. This one was uploaded by YouTube user UFOVNI, who is a Philadelphia resident. Now we've seen weirdly shaped clouds before, it's definitely not uncommon, but some people believe that UFOs sometimes hide in the clouds to avoid being detected, whereas others go a step further and believe that UFOs can disguise themselves as clouds. I mean, never say never, right? So in this video there seems to be a random small cloud in the sky, but then as you continue watching, the cloud starts moving and shifting in a really weird way. The cloud seems like it's reflective of light and transparent, and it's moving through the sky with a purpose and a lot quicker than a normal cloud. It's even moving faster than the clouds directly around it. The cloud also had different lights in it, and the user went on to narrate he had never seen anything like that in his life, and after watching the video, neither have I. At number 4 is the cloud wave. Back in 2010 on a beach in Helsinki, Finland, people were enjoying their Sunday off at the beach when they suddenly saw a massive dark dramatic cloud coming right towards them. Now they initially thought it was a storm cloud, so no real panic had ensued at that point, and I don't even believe it's a storm cloud to be honest, because I've never seen one so vast and dark and low in the sky. Beachgoers said they felt it was so low they could actually touch it. In the video it literally looks like the cloud will devour anything in its path, like it's the doomsday cloud. I'm not even kidding you. Birds literally flew out of the way of this cloud because it was that ominous. No explanation given, just a bunch of terrified tanned Finnish people. Filling our number 3 slot is the yellow flash. In November of 2013, over the city of Sverdlovsk in Russia, a giant flash happened in the sky. Now mind you, this was at night, so the sky was pitch black 1 second, and then all of a sudden it went red, then orange, then yellow, and then it expanded and took over more of the sky as it changed color. color. It lasted mere seconds, but it was unmistakable, and there were no military bases near the area, so explanations involving that or disposing of explosives was ruled out. The next explanation was that perhaps it was a bolide linked to the peak of the Leonids meteor shower, but lights from meteors are usually blue or green or white because of their temperature, so that wasn't it either. Either way, no one knows where the flash came from, but it came and went, and everyone's just gonna pretend like it never even happened. That's brilliant. Let's just continue doing that. Now at number 2 are the fireballs. This one was seen in Canada, and I'm actually speechless over what it could possibly be. It looks like some sort of CGI stuff or some effect of some kind, but it's 100% real. In the sky there seemed to be 2 flaming balls that had constant streams of white smoke coming out the top of them. But that wasn't even the weirdest part. There seemed to be a line connecting the 2 fireballs, but it wasn't a line, it looked like an electricity link of some kind. It was a straight white line with electrical current seemingly coming off of it. They moved straight across the sky on the trajectory of this line, and no one had any explanation whatsoever on what it was, how it got there, or that energy line connecting them both. And finally, at number 1 are the dancing lights. This one genuinely freaked me out when I watched the footage, I'm not even gonna lie. This one took place in Greenwood, Indiana, and Quaid M13 uploaded quite an HD video of it onto YouTube. Now in the video, the sun itself is behind some clouds that you can see very clearly, but on the left of it there's a stream of yellow light that comes and goes and dances in different directions. It's the exact same color and brightness as the sun's light, and honestly just imagine someone trapped a sun ray in a flashlight and then they were just doing this in clouds. That's exactly what it looked like. The video goes on for 2.5 minutes, and the only explanation people have offered is that perhaps it was a crown flash. And crown flash is due to ice crystals in a cirrus cloud merging with the electrical field of a rising cumulus cloud. I never knew I'd know so much about clouds, but now I do. While the field changes, the crystals snap and move, reflecting sunlight in different ways, hence we saw them dancing. Now some people fully believe that this explanation is the right one, and others say that there's no way that that was that. You guys choose whichever explanation you like. Starting us off with number 10 is the swirl. I actually thought this one was completely fake because honestly, I thought things like that just happen in sci-fi movies and not real life, but I was pleasantly mistaken. On the 22nd of May 2010, photographers all around Western Canada started sending in their photos of the sky. That day there seemed to be a huge swirling light in the sky and people were shook. No one had any explanations for it, but a similar pattern had been seen in Norway, but that one was caused by a Russian missile launch. So they speculated maybe that was it. But the nearest one was the Vandenberg Air Force Base, but they were very quick to deny any missile launch on their part. Some people claim they also heard a loud bang after the pattern disappeared. To me, it looks like a time warp or portal opening, hopefully from aliens. Either way, I'm here for it, and if they need volunteers, I'm also here for it. Coming in at number 9 is the blood sky. Now I don't know what the signal of an apocalypse would look like, but the sky going red is pretty up there in my guesses. That's exactly what residents of El Chalchuapa and El Salvador saw back in 2016. Crimson light filled the sky for just a minute before fading away and leaving the sky a shade of pink. Funnily enough, a lot of people in the Christian population did actually believe it was a sign of an imminent apocalypse. Some have guessed the light was from the yearly meteor showers that happened there, but that can't be true since the blood red sky has never been seen before and the showers have. I mean, they happen every year. Others say the light could be a reflection off the clouds of fires made by sugarcane farmers. Either way, the sky was red, so let's just leave it at that. At number 8 we have the trail. I really don't know what to make of this one, so maybe you guys can help me out. Back in 2017, Phoenix residents saw an amalgamation of lights hovering in the sky. The lights were in various shapes and forms. They started off in a V shape, then it turned into more of a hook or candy cane shape. The weirdest part was the lights were moving upwards and they kept going higher and higher, and they definitely weren't a type of aircraft. Residents described the lights movement as fluid. Some of them became super bright, then dimmed to nothing, and then came back brighter than ever. It was just a hodgepodge of lights that no one has been able to explain. So people really need to stop telling me that aliens aren't real. Thanks. Filling our number 7 slot is Steve. Who is Steve? What is Steve? Why is Steve? Let me tell you. A strip of light can be seen from the banks of Hudson Bay to British Columbia, and scientists have no idea what this strip of light is. First they thought it could just be a lost aurora borealis, a comet's tail, maybe even a plane's contrail, but it turned out to be none of those things, so they decided to just call the strip Steve. Now photos of Steve are stunning. They show him as a neon wisp of light, but in reality he looks like a wisp of white light so faint that people did originally think it was a plane's contrail. Thanks to photographers and their slow shutter speeds, we can see its true pink, purple and green colors, and that made it clear to scientists it was self-illuminated and not lit from below like a normal contrail. Many people thought it was a proton aurora, but that's not it either. And I know you're wondering about the whole name, so Steve was inspired by the movie Over the Hedge, which was actually really cute and really good. I saw it ages ago. These animals see a giant row of shrubs, and one says I would be a lot less afraid of it if I just knew what it was called. Then a squirrel goes, let's just call it Steve, it's a pretty name. And voila, from there we have Steve the strip of light. Now at number 6 are the loops. Now the video of this really freaked me out because it's so clear that it's something that we haven't caused. It was the strangest yet coolest video I've seen on this list. In November of last year, residents of Gloucestershire witnessed lights moving and circling in the sky. From the video you can see the light so clearly making loop after loop and then disappearing. It comes back in flashes or all together and it leaves behind red marks. The light then splits into 2 beams of light and then both beams just start moving perfectly parallel. At one point one beam is flashing while the other one isn't. It's just so strange but so mesmerizing to watch. I was literally sat there for 10 minutes like, and of course no one knows anything about the lights, what they are, why they were there, and what their source is, which is just brilliant. But funnily enough, that's not the only weird thing that's happened in Gloucestershire. There was also a giant orange glow or haze in the sky that people also had no explanation for. Gloucestershire residents, what are you doing? Coming in at number 5 is the green light, and this one literally happened in December just now, so it's quite the fresh news story. In Western Australia, locals were stunned when during a super intense thunderstorm they saw a strange green light appearing accompanied by an unexplainable sound. Even experts were like, what the hell is that? They'd never seen anything like that before. The Bureau of Meteorology said the light definitely wasn't part of the storm, and their best guess is that it was a reflection of something on the ground. Locals in other areas said they also saw the green light but with no rain or thunder. They just saw the light flashing for a good hour. I mean, flashing green light in the sky, I don't think that's ever been good. I'd really like out of this episode of Black Mirror right now, please. Thank you. At number 4 is the fireball. This one actually happened right here in Toronto, and a lot of these have actually taken place in Canada, to be fair, so I'm kind of worried now. But anyway, 6 months ago, people in the city saw a fireball-shaped light in the sky above Lake Ontario. Reports started coming in at around 11 PM, and the fireball stayed where it was for 2 hours. It disappeared for 10 seconds in that time and then came back with hanging smoke around it. People thought it was a meteor, but it wasn't moving, it was just hovering. In footage and pictures, it almost looks like the sun except at night. Police have said it could be because of flares used to find a missing boat earlier in the day, or the Hercules plane that was called in to help the search. I feel like that's a totally viable explanation about what happened, but everyone in Toronto was going ape shit like, oh my god, a fireball in the sky, oh my god, the sun is out at night, what is happening? You feel me? Filling our number 3 slot is the key question mark, and my weirdness will make sense to you guys very quickly, don't worry. The setting is San Francisco, December 2018. Residents were on their way home from work or their 6 PM yoga class when they saw a strange light in the sky. It was a lot brighter than a normal cloud, especially in the evening. Witnesses thought it was just a weird formation. They saw a light and then the light started to form a shape. Some people thought it looked like a key and others thought it looked like a question mark. A lot of people believed it was a UFO sign, but at this point anything weird can happen in the sky and people will just think it's aliens trying to contact us, me included. Scientists have speculated it was a bow-like meteor with compressed air around it, but no one knows for sure. Now at number 2 are the blue jets. This one is the coolest one on the list. I feel it just looks like something out of Avatar. No, actually they look like lightning going upwards. Like, just imagine the shape of a leafless tree in the winter except they're blue and they're coming out of the atmosphere. So no one get that image but me? Fine. Okay, I'll leave it. Now these are scientifically called upper atmospheric lightning, and that is basically a family of short-lived electrical breakdowns that take place above the altitudes of regular lightning. Scientists think they're induced by forms of luminous plasma, but the blue jets are still a mystery. Now the first issue is that they're blue, and blue atmospheric phenomena are really hard to study from below because the atmosphere is really good at scattering blue light. If that's not bad enough, blue lights are just super narrow and rare in general. Scientists think perhaps they form when a thunderstorm gets super tall and pierces into the thinner layers of the atmosphere above, but they don't know for sure. I didn't even know thunderstorms could go upwards, actually. Well, good to know. Regardless of how they form, they're insanely cool to look at. Imagine you were looking at it from space. How cool would that be, just coming out of the earth like that? And finally, at number 1 are the Phoenix Lights. This case was massive back in the day. In 1997, thousands of people saw what they thought were UFOs in the sky. In the skies of Arizona, Nevada, and Sonora between 7:30 and 10:30 p.m., 2 events took place. The first was a triangular formation of lights passing over the state, and this one is the shadiest. There's only a handful of images of the first event, only one person had a detailed video of it, and what appears to be a spacecraft, but the video had mysteriously just been lost. The second event is the one everyone has pictures of. In the second incident, a series of lights spaced out at regular intervals would appear, stay illuminated for a while, and then disappear. The most popular recording of this is an arc of lights appearing one by one and then going out one by one. Ufologists believe they were some type of running light along the edge of a large spacecraft. Many people say they saw a craft hovering quite low and that it looked like canisters of swimming lights with an underbelly that looked like water. Alien technology is just so much better than ours, it's actually quite sad, I'm not gonna lie. The first event has no explanations whatsoever, but the second sort of does, well, if you believe it. The US Air Force said the second event was because of slow falling long burning illumination flares dropped by a flight of 4 aircrafts, and that is probably the reason the second event did occur, but I don't know, they could have easily just lied about it to keep the public's UFO speculations at bay because they just don't want us to know about these things, so believe what you want, folks.
Number 10. Life after gorilla. Coco the gorilla was fluent in American Sign Language, and through her ability to communicate, scientists were able to discern how deep their emotional awareness actually is. But just how far it really goes is a mystery. Coco seemed to understand the idea of death and even mourn her loved ones. She once had a really deep conversation with the late and beloved actor Robin Williams, and when news broke that he died, Coco went still and was thoughtful. She signed Cry Lip, which means cry woman. When she was shown a skeleton, she could determine that it was dead. After showing her the skeleton, Dr. Patterson asked her, "Where do animals go when they die?" And Coco responded, "A comfortable hole." Then she gave a kiss goodbye. Something that occurred for humans that allowed us to create the world we know now was something called the cognitive revolution. At some point, for whatever reason, humans were suddenly able to imagine worlds and ideas outside of our current reality. This led the way for communities united under ideas of religion and city structures, etc. This moment with Coco sparked a philosophical debate about whether this event really was isolated to just Homo sapiens. If animals have an understanding of life and death, how far does that understanding extend? Number 9. A head for music. If this happened more often, I might consider slamming my head against a wall to see if it worked. Derek Amato was never taught how to play an instrument. He kinda puttered around on like guitar and piano, but he wasn't very good. But suddenly, after enduring a traumatic brain injury, he woke up as a musical genius. After hitting his head in a swimming pool, he lost 35% of his hearing and memory, but somehow became proficient at piano. While visiting a friend after the incident, he suddenly had the inexplicable desire to sit down and play. He says that he could picture the stream of notes in his mind, and he began playing like he'd never left the piano. In a blog post he noted, "As I shut my eyes, I found these black and white structures moving from left to right, which in fact would represent in my mind a fluid and continuous stream of musical notation." Though he develops very harsh migraines and extreme sensitivity to fluorescent lights, which causes him sometimes to pass out, Derek says he wouldn't have it any other way. I would feel the same way, man. That would be an amazing talent to have. Number 8. The dancing plague. Of course we're gonna talk about this, and here we go again. The dancing plague. Now the only illness I've ever heard of that's even close to the dancing plague is the jitterbug. Boo-boo. The dancing plague, though it sounds ridiculous, actually happened and is well documented. Doctors have no idea what caused it, but we really need someone to go back in time and settle what the heck happened once and for all. The events go as follows. It's July 1518 in Strasbourg when a woman named Frau Trophia starts jiving in the city center. Within a week, 40 people joined her. By the end of the month, there were 400. Local physicians were baffled but presumed everyone was just depressed and needed the dance, but presumed everyone was just like depressed, so they bought a band and professional dancers and was like, hey, have at her. But then people started dancing until they dropped dead. By that point, physicians had enough of the madness and whisked the dancing revelers off to the mountain top to pray. Was this the origin of the Harlem Shake? Was this like some kind of OG Woodstock? Who knows? Number 7. Where the heck is Cleopatra? Somewhere in the lands of Alexandria, Egypt lies the great and honorable corpse of the one, the only Cleopatra, but despite decades upon decades of searching, her tomb has yet to be uncovered. If it's ever recovered, it will be the biggest find of the century. For over 2,000 years, the last queen of Egypt, lover of Caesar and Mark Antony, where she lies is a mystery. Now, part of why it might be so difficult is that Alexandria sank into the Mediterranean almost 1,000 years ago. One theory, however, stated by Kathleen Martinez, was that Cleopatra believed herself to be a goddess, and therefore would have been buried in the temple of Isis and Osiris. Cleopatra died by having one of her servants smuggle in a venomous snake. The snake was believed to be a symbol to her followers of her deific beliefs. After all, why get a snake to bite you when you could just drink poison? I guess she just wanted to go out in style. Number 6. The $10 million garden. Do you know how many times a day I dream about accidentally discovering buried treasure? Like, I'm not sure I'm alone. I don't think I'm alone. Except this treasure actually holds a key to the portal that takes me into the world of Pirates of the Caribbean and puts me on the poop deck of the Black Pearl, and I look up and there's Captain Jack Sparrow, and all of a sudden I have a cutlass in my hand, and anyways, I'm getting carried away as usual. But as unbelievable as that story is, something almost as miraculous happened to a couple in California. They discovered a box of treasure worth $10 million, and they have no idea who it belongs to. Nearly all the coins date back to 1847, 1894, and are in mint condition. The couple chose to remain anonymous in order to prevent a flood to their property, but it's honestly like they found the gold at the end of the rainbow. It's insane. I'd keep an eye out for an angry leprechaun if I were them, you know? Don't steal my gold. Number 5. The Phaistos Disc. While some archaeologists have claimed to have solved it, the full translation of this piece remains up for debate. The Phaistos Disc is a 16 cm double-sided clay tablet that dates back to the Minoan era, 1900 to 1700 BCE, before Common Era. It was found in 1908 at the old palace of Minoan Phaistos on Crete. It is stamped with 242 symbols on either side set in a spiral arrangement, and the meaning of the symbols is unknown. It is estimated that the disc represents the Minoan language, but we aren't sure. There are 45 different symbols, each appearing to have been individually stamped on, some even erased and redone. It is estimated that each symbol represents a group of words or a meaning, but exactly what they are, we have no idea. No stamps corresponding to the ones on the disc have been found, which would give more clues. Without concrete evidence, some archaeologists speculate that it could be a hymn to the earth goddess, or a court list, an index of religious centers, a letter of greeting, a fertility ritual, and even music notes. I once bought a necklace of the Phaistos Disc while in Greece, but sadly lost it while moving. I treated myself this year on my birthday and bought a new one from Greece, because to me it has always represented being okay with the fact that some things we might never have answers to. So that's why I wear it. Number 4. Bermea Island. Bermea Island was a tiny uninhabited island that sat just northwest of the Yucatan Peninsula. It was a common fixture on maps drawn by Spanish explorers, occasionally referred to as Vermeja. But then, suddenly, it started disappearing from maps altogether. The last map it appeared on was in the 1921 edition of Geographic Atlas of the Mexican Republic. So where in the heck did it go? Did it just pull some kind of Atlantis act? Was it one of the victims of global warming? Was it bombed? Underwater earthquake? Who knows? In 1997 there was a renewed interest in searching for it, but unfortunately nothing turned up. Not a single sign. How could a whole island disappear without a trace? Luckily, there weren't any people on it. So that's one upside. Number 3. The Kentucky Meat Shower. Yeah, sounds gross. It was. The forecast was meaty on the March morning of Bath County, Kentucky, soon to be Kentucky Fried. It was close to lunchtime and Mrs. Crouch, a local farmer's wife, witnessed the impossible. She noticed that it was a clear, beautiful day, but then suddenly lumps of raw meat started falling from the sky. For several minutes, lumps as large as 3 inches fell until it stopped as sudden as it started. Before long, the town heard of this miraculous omen and witnessed an area of 100 yards covered in meat. Most believed it was beef, but a local butcher claimed it was too greasy and resembled bear instead. Several brave souls, like brave, the bravest of the brave, I wouldn't even do this. Brave souls cooked up some of it, but no one could agree on the single type. One saying it was venison, others saying it was mutton, fish. Yeah, everything from human flesh to vulture vomit was proposed, but to this day, no one knows how or why this happened. Number 2. The Crooked Forest. In West Pomerania, Poland, there is a forest that continues to boggle the minds of scientists. scientists. 400 pine trees, for whatever reason, grow a foot off the ground, then make a 90-degree turn and arc in a uniform curve, then continue to grow straight up until like 50 feet. The trees were planted back in 1930 and have since become an anomaly no one can explain. I mean, we've all seen pine trees. They're like one of the most common trees, I think. I mean, they're all over Canada. Anyways, I'm just speaking for our country. Some hypothesize that gravity is involved, but it doesn't really hold up, given that gravity pulls things downward, and this is literally whoop, not doing that. So short answer, a lot of theories, but no one really knows. And last but not least, the Mary Celeste. Yay, a ghost story, perfect for spooky season. Woo! The Mary Celeste is the ghost ship story. On November 7th, 1872, the 282-ton brigantine Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor to Genoa. The 282-ton brigantine Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor to Italy. Less than a month later, however, the ship was seen adrift about 400 miles east of the Azores at full sail. A passing British ship investigated and found no sign of Captain Benjamin S. Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, and of course, the crew was nowhere to be seen. It was empty. The ship was undamaged, though there was a missing lifeboat and several feet of water in the hold. The ship, however, was still loaded with 6 months worth of food and water. Where had they gone? Why would an experienced captain abandon a perfectly sound ship? If it was pirates, then why would they leave the food and water? If it was mutiny, then why was the rest of the crew gone? Theories surrounding all of that, including a giant octopus, have all been put forth, but the mystery remains as unknown as the great wide ocean itself.